Montana, January 2010, 14 degrees below zero. Maya Cross was 14 years old when she learned that home is not a place you can lose. It's a place that can throw you away. She stood in the kitchen doorway and watched her stepfather drink. Silas Stone, third bottle tonight, maybe fourth. Hard to keep count anymore. Her mother had been dead for
What a
18
find on
months.
a day like this.
Cancer,
I would
swift
stretch my
and
legs.
merciless. Cassandra Cross had fought for 3 years, lost in 3 months. That's how cancer works. It gives you hope right up until it doesn't. "You're 14 years old," Silas said. He didn't look at Maya, just stared at the whiskey bottle like it held answers. "Old enough to understand." Maya said nothing. Words were dangerous around Silas. Words gave him targets. "Your mother's life insurance, the ranch, all of it." He laughed, bitter, broken. "Legal fees, medical bills, funeral costs, gone." Outside the wind howled, Montana winter, the kind that kills. "I'm selling the ranch, moving to Nevada, fresh start." Silas finally looked up. His eyes were bloodshot, empty. "You're not coming." The words hung in the air like smoke. Final, irreversible. "Where am I supposed to go?" "That stopped being my problem about 18 months ago." Silas stood, grabbed his coat. "You've got until morning, then I'm calling social services. Or you can leave now, save us both the trouble." He walked past her, out the door, into the Montana night. Maya stood alone in the kitchen. The house was quiet, the kind of quiet that comes when all the life has been bled out of a place. Photos of Cassandra still hung on the walls, young, smiling, before the cancer, before Silas. When she'd been married to Robert Cross, Maya's real father, the man Maya had never known. Robert Cross, Gulf War sniper, Silver Star, killed in action 1991, 3 months before Maya was born, shot by an Iraqi sniper while protecting his squad. Her mother had raised her alone for 12 years. Then the cancer came. Then Silas. Then everything fell apart like a house built on sand. Maya walked to her room, small, bare. She'd learned not to attach herself to things. Things could be taken away. She packed a backpack, 3 shirts, 2 pairs of jeans, a jacket too thin for winter, her mother's necklace, a photo of Robert Cross in his army uniform, young, smiling. The way men smile before war teaches them not to. That was everything she owned in the world. Maya walked out the front door. Silas was in his truck, engine running. He watched her go, didn't say goodbye, didn't say anything. She walked down the driveway, through the gate, onto the road that led nowhere she wanted to go. Behind her, the house lights went out one by one. Ahead, there was only darkness and cold in the rest of her life. Maya Cross was 14 years old. She had $43, a backpack, and a photograph of a dead man she'd never met. She started walking, and she didn't look back. The first night, Maya learned that cold is a living thing. It crawls inside you through your skin, finds the spaces between your ribs, settles in your lungs like it's always lived there. 14 below zero. The kind of cold that has killed stronger people than a 14-year-old girl with no coat. Maya found an abandoned barn 3 miles from the ranch. The door hung crooked on rusted hinges. Inside, the air was still, dark, but it was out of the wind. That made it survivable. She curled into a corner, pulled her jacket tight, tried not to think about how much colder it would get before sunrise. Sleep came in fragments. 5 minutes, 10, then the cold would wake her, shivering so hard her teeth clattered like stones. At some point during the night, Maya stopped shivering. Her body went still, quiet. That's when the real danger started. Hypothermia, stage 2, maybe 3. Hard to tell when your brain is shutting down. Maya forced herself to stand, to move. Movement meant heat. Heat meant survival. She walked circles in the barn, small circles, methodical, 1 foot in front of the other, again, again, again. The sun came up eventually, It always does. Pale gray light filtered through cracks in the barn walls. Maya was still alive. That was the first lesson. You don't survive by being strong. You survive by being too stubborn to die. The barn became Maya's home, not because it was comfortable, because it was there. During the day, she moved through town like smoke, invisible, silent. People don't see what they don't want to see. A 14-year-old girl on the streets, dirty, thin, that's uncomfortable to look at, so they didn't. Maya learned the rhythms of charity without learning to depend on it. Church meals on Monday and Wednesday. First Baptist had soup. United Methodist had sandwiches. She rotated between them so no one noticed the same girl showing up every time. The diner threw out food at 9 p.m. Still good, just not pretty enough to serve. Maya learned to wait in the shadows until the kitchen staff left. Then she'd search the dumpster like an archaeologist searching for treasure. The library opened at 8, closed at 9. 12 hours of warmth. 12 hours where Maya could sit and read and pretend she was somewhere else. Someone else. She read everything. Military history, physics, mathematics, books about wind and weather and ballistics. She didn't know why these subjects called to her, just that they made sense. Numbers made sense. Wind patterns made sense. The world didn't make sense, but the math behind it did. At night, she returned to the barn, her sanctuary, her prison, her home. That's where she found the rifle. 3 months into her new life, Maya was exploring the barn's loft, looking for blankets, tarps, anything to make the nights warmer. She found a crate instead. Old, covered in dust, the kind of dust that takes years to accumulate. Inside was a hunting rifle. Bolt action, maybe 20 years old. Rusted in places, but the mechanics were sound. And underneath the rifle, a box, 23 rounds of ammunition. Maya lifted the rifle. Heavy, heavier than she'd expected. The stock was cracked, the scope was cloudy, but it was real, solid. The first real thing she'd held in months. She didn't know why she kept it, didn't know what she'd do with it, but she kept it anyway. Some instinct, some whisper in the back of her mind that said, this matters. 2 weeks later, Maya fired her first shot. It wasn't planned. She'd been sitting in the barn at dawn, the rifle across her lap. She'd been cleaning it carefully, the way she imagined soldiers did. A tin can sat on a fence post, 50 yards away, visible through the barn door. Maya loaded 1 round, lifted the rifle, pressed the stock against her shoulder. The scope was scratched, cloudy, but she could see the can. Small, distant, impossible for someone who'd never fired a gun. She didn't know about breathing, about trigger control, about windage or elevation, or any of the 1,000 variables that separate a good shot from a lucky one. She just aimed and fired. The recoil slammed into her shoulder. Pain, sharp, immediate. The rifle clattered to the floor. Maya's ears rang, high-pitched, whining. She'd forgotten about the noise, how loud guns are when you're not expecting them. She looked through the barn door. The tin can was gone. Maya walked outside, 50 yards, her shoulder throbbing, her ears still ringing. The can lay in the dirt, a hole punched clean through the center. She stared at it for a long time, picked it up, studied the hole. Perfect, round, precise. Then she smiled, the first real smile in 4 months. She'd found something she was good at. Over the next year, Maya taught herself to shoot. 23 rounds became 22, then 21, then 20. She learned to control her breathing, to squeeze the trigger instead of jerking it, to account for wind, for distance, for the way bullets drop over range. No one taught her. There were no YouTube videos in 2010, no instructors, no guides, just Maya and a rifle, and the empty Montana landscape, and an obsessive determination to understand. She kept a journal, meticulous notes, Every shot documented, every variable recorded. Northeast wind, 15 miles per hour. Bullet drifted left. Aim 6 inches right next time. Cold morning. Bullet drops faster in cold air. Aim 12 inches high at 100 yards. Moving target, led by 3 feet at 50 yards. Rabbit, missed. Try 4 feet next time. The math started to make sense. Ballistics, trajectory, physics in motion. At 50 yards, she could hit a can 9 times out of 10. At 100 yards, 7 times out of 10. At 200 yards, 5 times out of 10. But there was something else. Something Maya couldn't explain and didn't tell anyone because there was no one to tell. She could see the wind. Not feel it, see it. Shimmering patterns in the air, like heat rising off pavement in summer. But different. Blue-silver ribbons, twisting, flowing, following paths only Maya could see. At first she thought she was hallucinating. Hunger did that sometimes. Made you see things that weren't there. By her 16th birthday, she could hit a fence post at 500 yards. Consistently, even in wind. She'd fired all 23 rounds, scavenged 14 more from an abandoned hunting cabin 5 miles away. Fired those too. Maya Cross had become something. Not a soldier, not yet, but something close. A survivor with a gift she didn't understand. Age 17, 3 years homeless. Maya had learned to survive. But surviving isn't living. She'd lost weight, 5'6", 112 pounds. Her face was gaunt, hollow, eyes that had seen too much, too young. People in town knew her by sight now. The barn girl. Some of them left food, small acts of kindness that kept Maya alive, but did nothing to fill the emptiness inside. One night in June, Maya made a decision that would change everything. Morrison's Range, private property, 5 miles outside town. Frank Morrison ran it, ex-military. Everyone knew him, respected him, feared him a little. The range had targets at distances Maya had never attempted. 600 yards, 800, 1,000. She wanted to try, just once, to see if she was as good as she thought, or just lucky. Maya climbed the fence at midnight. The moon was full, bright enough to see. She'd brought the rifle, her last 4 rounds of ammunition. The range was empty, silent. Target posts marched into the darkness like sentinels guarding secrets. Maya set up at the 600-yard line, prone position, the way she'd read about in books at the library. The wind was calm, cool. The blue-silver ribbons hung nearly vertical, barely moving. Perfect conditions. She aimed at the center target, exhaled, fired. The shot echoed across the valley. Loud, too loud. It rolled through the darkness like thunder. Through the scope, Maya saw the target shudder. Hit, not center mass, but close. Maybe 2 inches left. Who the hell is shooting on my range at midnight? Maya's blood froze. A flashlight swept across the shooting line. Bright, blinding, hunting. Frank Morrison, 60 years old, gray beard, eyes like flint. He held a pistol at his side, not aimed at Maya, but ready. Stand up, slowly. Maya stood. The rifle hung from one hand, useless now. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Frank's flashlight found her face. He stared, long enough that Maya started calculating her options. The fence was 60 yards away. She could run. Probably wouldn't make it, but she could try. "You're a kid," Frank said. Not a question, an observation. "I'm 17. That doesn't answer my question. What are you doing on my range at midnight?" Maya lifted the rifle slightly. "Shooting." Frank's eyes narrowed. "Where'd you learn?" "I taught myself." "Bullshit." "I taught myself," Maya repeated. Calm, steady. She had nothing left to lose. 3 years, in a barn, with this rifle and 37 rounds of ammunition. Frank studied her. The way a jeweler studies a diamond, looking for flaws, for authenticity, for value. Show me your hands. Maya held them out, palms up, steady, no tremor, the hands of someone who'd learned control through necessity. Frank nodded slowly. That target you just hit, 600 yards, in the dark, first try? Yes. What did you aim at? Center mass. I hit 2 inches left. Wind? Calm. The ribbons were vertical. Frank's expression changed, subtle, but Maya saw it. Ribbons? The wind. I can see it. Blue, silver patterns. They show me where the air is moving. Silence. Long. Heavy. The kind of silence that happens when someone hears something impossible. Then Frank lowered his pistol. Slowly, deliberately. Come with me. Frank Morrison's office was small, cluttered. Photos covered the walls. Young men in combat gear, desert backgrounds, urban warfare, Afghanistan, Iraq, and older photos, Desert Storm, 1991. Frank poured 2 cups of coffee, handed one to Maya. She took it, wrapped her cold hands around the mug. You said you can see wind patterns, blue and silver. Yes, that's called synesthesia, neurological condition. Your brain crosses sensory wires. Some people see sounds as colors. You see air currents as visual patterns. Maya said nothing. She'd never heard the word synesthesia before. It's rare, Frank continued. Maybe 1 in 2,000 people have it, and almost none have it with wind. He leaned forward. Do you know what that means for a shooter? I hit targets. You hit targets other people can't even see, because you're reading variables they're guessing at. Frank set down his coffee. I've been teaching marksmanship for 30 years, trained Army snipers, Marine Corps, SEAL candidates before I retired. I've never seen anyone with your advantage. What advantage? You see the invisible. Wind, air density, thermal layers, pressure gradients. Things I had to calculate, you just see. Frank paused. Where did you get that rifle? Found it. In a barn. The barn you've been living in for 3 years? Maya's jaw tightened. How did you know? Small town, people talk. They say there's a girl living rough, too proud to ask for help, too smart to get caught. Frank stood, walked to the window. I knew your father, Robert Cross, Gulf War. We served in the same unit. He saved my life, took a bullet meant for me. 3 months before you were born. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. You knew him? Best soldier I ever met. Best friend I ever had. Frank turned. His eyes were wet. Before he died, Robert made me promise something. If anything happened to him, I'd watch over his family. Over Cassandra. Over you. Then where were you? The words came out harder than Maya intended. Sharper. When my mom died, when Silas threw me out, where were you? Looking for you. Frank's voice cracked. Cassandra and I lost touch after Robert died. She moved, changed her number, started over. By the time I found out she'd passed, you were gone. Silas said you'd run away. I've been searching for 3 years. He walked to his desk, pulled out a photo, black and white, 2 soldiers, desert camouflage, young, smiling. That's us, Desert Storm, 1991, 3 weeks before he died. Maya stared at the photo. Robert Cross, her father. She had his eyes, his chin, his slight build, his determination written in the set of his jaw. He taught me everything I know, Frank said, and I'm going to teach you. Everything he would have taught you if he'd lived. Why? Because I owed him my life, and because you have a gift, a real one, the kind that comes along once in a generation. Frank extended his hand. I'll train you, for free, 6 days a week, every technique I know, but you have to promise me something. What? Never shoot without knowing why. Every bullet means something. Every target is a choice. You understand? Maya took his hand. Firm grip, steady. I understand. For the next year, Maya Cross became someone new. She still lived in the barn. Frank offered his spare room. Maya refused. She'd survived 3 years alone. She could survive one more. Independence was armor. She wouldn't give it up. But 6 days a week she trained. Frank taught her everything: proper breathing techniques, trigger discipline, how to calculate bullet drop without instruments, how to estimate wind speed by watching grass, how to read mirage through a scope, how to become invisible. But mostly, Frank taught her patience. The best snipers aren't the ones who shoot fastest, he said. They're the ones who wait, who watch, who know when not to pull the trigger. Maya absorbed everything like a sponge. She kept journals, hundreds of pages, notes on every shot, every variable, every lesson learned. Her skill improved exponentially. At 500 yards, she was hitting targets 95% of the time. At 1,000 yards, 70%. At 1,500 yards, 50%. Better than most military snipers. And at 1,800 yards, she made a shot that Frank said was impossible. Moving target, 30-mile-per-hour crosswind, dawn light, low visibility, the kind of shot you don't take unless you're desperate or stupid. Maya saw the blue ribbons, twisting, complex, a pattern that changed every 3 seconds like a living thing. She waited, watched, learned the rhythm beneath the chaos, then fired once. The target, a clay pigeon on a motorized rail, shattered. Frank lowered his binoculars, slowly. His hands were shaking. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. "You're better than him, better than Robert, better than anyone I've ever trained." Maya said nothing, just reloaded. That was her way. Let the work speak. "You need to enlist," Frank said. "Army, Marines, doesn't matter. Someone needs to see what you can do. I'm 18 in 3 months. Then in 3 months, you're going to walk into a recruiter's office, and you're going to change the world." Maya looked through her scope, 2,000 yards, the maximum distance on Frank's range. She'd never attempted it, had been building toward it for a year. "One more shot first," she said. Frank set up the target, a steel plate, 12 inches square, 2,000 yards, over a mile. The wind was variable, 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusting. The blue ribbons twisted and coiled like serpents. Maya studied them. 5 minutes, 10, learning, waiting for convergence. Then the pattern steadied, just for a moment. 3 seconds of consistency in the chaos. She fired. 2.4 seconds of flight time. 2.4 seconds where the universe held its breath. The steel rang, clear, sharp, unmistakable. Frank's binoculars dropped. He stared at Maya. Not like she was his student anymore, like she was something else, something unprecedented. "Welcome to the 1% Club," he said quietly. "There are maybe 50 people in the world who can make that shot. Now there are 51. Maya ejected the spent casing, caught it, still warm, still real. She put it in her pocket, next to her mother's necklace and her father's photo. 3 talismans, 3 pieces of a life that was finally starting to make sense. 2 months later, Maya met Vivian Kane. Morrison's Range. Late afternoon, Maya was cleaning her rifle. The same rifle from the barn. Frank had restored it. New stock, new scope, but still the same weapon that had saved her life 4 years ago. "Frank Morrison?" Maya looked up. A woman stood in the doorway, late 60s, silver hair, sharp eyes. She moved like someone who'd spent a lifetime carrying weight and learned to do it with grace. "He's at the 1,000-yard line," Maya said. "You want me to get him? You must be Maya." Maya set down the rifle. "How did you know?" "Frank talks about you, constantly. Says you're the best natural shooter he's ever seen." The woman extended her hand. "I'm Vivian Kane. Frank and my husband served together. Afghanistan. James was a sniper too." Maya shook her hand, firm grip, confident. Was? Vivian's smile faded. He died 3 years ago. Helmand Province. Ambush. He was providing overwatch for a convoy, saved 11 lives, lost his own. I'm sorry. Don't be. James died doing what he loved, protecting people. Vivian sat down. Frank tells me you've been living in a barn. That true? Maya hesitated, then nodded. And that you're planning to enlist. Army Sniper School. In 2 weeks, soon as I turn 18. Good. You'll be extraordinary. Vivian pulled something from her bag. A leather journal, worn, carried, loved. This belonged to James. 40 years of sniper logs. Every mission, every shot, every decision. She handed it to Maya. Why are you giving this to me? Because Frank says you're special, and because James would have wanted you to have it. Vivian stood. Read it, cover to cover. James wasn't just a great shot, he was a great man. Learn the difference. Maya opened the journal. The first page was dated 1982, Fort Benning, Sniper School. The handwriting was careful, precise. The last page was dated 2011, Afghanistan. The handwriting was shaky, urgent. There's something else you should know, Vivian said. The last entry. James didn't take a shot that day. He had a clear line on a Taliban commander. Easy kill. But there was a child nearby. James decided not to fire. 30 seconds later, the ambush hit. James died because he chose not to shoot. That seems like a mistake. Does it? Vivian's eyes were hard. James saved that child's life. The convoy drove past. That boy is alive today because James didn't pull the trigger. And 11 soldiers are alive because James drew fire away from them instead of taking that shot. He died. He chose. That's the lesson. Any fool can kill. Only the wise know when not to. Vivian walked to the door, paused. I run a motel, Sunrise Motel, east side of town. You're welcome there, anytime, free of charge. I can't accept charity. It's not charity, it's payment for what you're going to become. Vivian smiled. See you around, Maya Cross. She left. Maya sat alone, the journal in her hands, heavy, not with weight, with responsibility, with legacy, with the accumulated wisdom of a man who died making the hardest choice. She opened it, started reading. By sunrise, she'd read 40 pages. By sunset, she'd read 200. The lessons were clear, precise, technical. Everything a sniper needed to know about wind, distance, trajectory, patience. But underneath the tactics and calculations, there was something else. A philosophy, a moral compass. The hardest shot is the one you don't take. Maya wrote that in her own journal, underlined it 3 times. She would remember those words. Years later, 2,847 meters away from Garrett Webb, 18 inches between life and death. She would remember, and she would make the impossible shot. But that was still years away. For now, Maya Cross was 18 years old. She had a rifle, a journal, and a purpose that burned in her chest like a second heart. In 2 weeks, she would walk into an Army recruiter's office. Her life was about to change. The barn would become a memory. The hunger, the cold, the fear, all of it, left behind like clothes that no longer fit. But the lessons would stay, burned into her, permanent as scars. You survive by being stubborn. You fight by being smart. You win by knowing when not to pull the trigger. Maya closed the journal, looked out at the Montana sky, clear, cold, beautiful in the way that only Montana can be. Somewhere out there, her father had died protecting people. Somewhere out there, Captain James Kane had made the same choice. Maya would follow them, into war, into darkness, into whatever came next. But she would do it on her terms, with her eyes open and her finger on the trigger, ready for everything, afraid of nothing. Because the girl who'd been thrown away at 14 had learned the most important lesson of all. You can't throw away someone who refuses to stay gone. The drill sergeant's spit landed on Maya's boot. She didn't move, didn't blink, just stood at attention while Sergeant Hayes circled her like a predator evaluating prey. Fort Benning, Georgia, August 2014. 103 degrees, humidity thick enough to choke on. "You're 5'6", Hayes said. His voice was gravel and cigarettes. 30 years of breaking recruits. 128 pounds. I've seen bigger women at the DMV. Maya stared straight ahead, silent. You think you're going to be a sniper? Hayes leaned close. His breath smelled like coffee and contempt. Female snipers are a political stunt. Pentagon diversity quota. You'll wash out in 3 weeks, maybe 2. Around them, 42 other recruits stood in formation. All male, all bigger than Maya, all watching. What's the matter, Cross? Cat got your tongue? No, drill sergeant. Then tell me why I should waste my time training someone who's going to quit. Maya's jaw tightened. She thought about the barn. 3 years of cold, 3 years of hunger, 3 years of teaching herself what these men would spend 8 weeks learning. I won't quit, drill sergeant. Everyone quits. Everyone breaks. I've been doing this for 3 decades. I know your type. Quiet, stubborn, think you're special. Hayes stepped back, addressed the entire formation. Let me tell you something about special. Special doesn't mean shit in combat. Special doesn't stop bullets. Special gets you killed. He turned back to Maya. You've got one chance to prove yourself. Tomorrow morning, qualification range, 600 yards. If you can't make basic infantry standards, you're gone. Understood? Yes, drill sergeant. Hayes walked away. The other recruits exchanged glances, smirks. A few whispered, she's dead. No way she makes it. I give her 3 days. Maya said nothing, just stood at attention, waiting. That night in the barracks, she cleaned her issued M4 rifle. Not the weapon she'd trained with, not the precision instrument Frank had taught her to love. This was a combat rifle, designed for volume of fire, not accuracy. But Maya could work with it. Hey, Cross. She looked up. A recruit, early 20s, built like a linebacker. Name tape said Daniels. What? Hayes is going to destroy you tomorrow. You know that, right? Maybe, Daniels laughed. Maybe? Sister, you're about to get the worst humiliation of your life. In front of everyone. You should just quit now. Save yourself the embarrassment. Maya returned to cleaning her rifle. I don't quit. Everyone says that, then they meet reality. Then I guess we'll see tomorrow. Daniel shook his head, walked away. Your funeral. Maya finished cleaning, checked the sights, dry fired 3 times, smooth trigger pull, consistent. She lay on her bunk, stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow would define everything. Pass, and she had a chance at sniper school. Fail, and she'd spend 4 years as infantry, or wash out completely. She closed her eyes, visualized the shot. 600 yards, standard target, center mass, easy. The sun rose over Fort Benning at 0530. Maya was already awake, had been for an hour. She didn't sleep well, hadn't since the barn. Some habits die hard. The qualification range was empty when she arrived. Alone. Hayes had said 0800. Maya was 3 hours early. She walked to the 600-yard line, set up prone, studied the distance. The wind was calm, 5 miles per hour, northeast. The blue-silver ribbons hung nearly vertical, barely moving, perfect conditions. Starting early doesn't mean you'll finish. Maya turned. Hayes stood behind her, coffee in hand. He looked tired, older in the dawn light. Just getting familiar with the range, drill sergeant. You've shot before, I can tell. Yes, drill sergeant. Where? Montana, private range. Hayes sat down, gestured for Maya to do the same. She did, carefully. I'm going to tell you something, Cross. Off the record. Woman to soldier. He sipped his coffee. I don't think females should be in combat roles. I've seen too many good men die because someone wasn't strong enough, fast enough, mean enough. War isn't equal opportunity. War is Darwinian. Maya said nothing. But, Hayes continued, I've also been wrong before. Exactly twice in 30 years. Both times I underestimated someone because of my assumptions. He looked at her. You might be the third time. I appreciate your honesty, Drill Sergeant. I'm not done. If you qualify today, I'm going to make your life hell. Harder training than anyone else. More PT, more drills, more everything. Because if you're going to be a sniper, you need to be bulletproof. Not physically, mentally. Yes, Drill Sergeant. And if you wash out, I want you to know it's not because you're a woman. It's because you weren't good enough. That's the only fair standard. Maya stood. I won't wash out. Hayes studied her. Long enough that Maya started to wonder if she'd said something wrong. We'll see, he finally said. Get some breakfast. Qualification starts at 0800. 3 hours later, Maya stood at the firing line with 42 other recruits. Hayes addressed them from the tower. Standard infantry marksmanship qualification. 300 yards, 400 yards, 500 yards, 600 yards. 5 shots each distance. Center mass. 35 hits minimum to pass. Questions? Silence. Cross, you're up first. The other recruits shifted, watched. This was entertainment. The girl who thought she was special, about to fail publicly. Maya approached the line, accepted the rifle from the range officer, loaded 5 rounds. 300 yards, Hayes announced, at your discretion. Maya dropped prone, settled the stock against her shoulder, found the target through iron sights. No scope. Basic infantry didn't get scopes. The blue ribbons were calm, steady, almost no movement. She fired 5 times, methodical, controlled, each shot a whisper of expelled air and intention. Cease fire, check target. The range officer raised binoculars, lowered them slowly. 5 for 5, all center mass. A murmur rippled through the recruits. 400 yards, Hayes said. His voice was flat, neutral. Maya reloaded. 5 more shots, 5 more hits. 500 yards, 5 shots, 5 hits. The recruits weren't murmuring anymore. They were silent, watching. 600 yards. This was the hard one. Maximum effective range for iron sights. Most recruits missed half their shots at this distance. Some missed all 5. Maya studied the wind. The ribbons were twisting now, left to right, maybe 8 miles per hour. She adjusted her aim. 3 inches right, 6 inches high. 5 shots, steady rhythm, breath control, trigger discipline. Cease fire. The range officer didn't even need binoculars. 5 for 5, perfect score. The silence was absolute. Hayes climbed down from the tower, walked to Maya. His face was unreadable. 20 for 20, he said. First perfect score in 18 months. He paused. Where the hell did you learn to shoot like that? I taught myself, Drill Sergeant. Bullshit. I taught myself. 3 years. Abandoned barn, Montana. Hayes stared at her. Then slowly he extended his hand. Welcome to the Army, Cross. You just earned the hardest 8 weeks of your life. Maya shook his hand. Firm grip. Behind her, Daniels muttered something to another recruit. Maya heard it clearly. Lucky shots. She didn't respond. Didn't need to. The targets spoke for themselves. Basic training lasted 8 weeks. Hayes kept his promise. Maya's training was brutal. Extra PT, night drills, obstacle courses in full gear. Everything designed to break her. She didn't break. By week 4, the other recruits stopped calling her the girl, started calling her Cross. Respect, grudging, but real. By week 6, they started asking her for shooting tips. By week 8, when Daniel struggled with a 400-yard shot during final qualification, Maya lay beside him and whispered instructions. Breathe. You're jerking the trigger. Squeeze. Like you're surprising yourself. Daniels followed her advice. Hit the target. Thanks, he muttered. Don't mention it. Graduation came in October. Maya finished second in her class, first in marksmanship, second in overall performance. Hayes called her into his office the day before graduation. I was wrong about you, he said, no preamble. You're not special because you're a woman. You're special because you're exceptional. There's a difference. Thank you, drill sergeant. I've recommended you for sniper school. Fort Benning, 6-month course. Starts in January. Hayes handed her a folder. Colonel Price runs the program. Best instructor in the Army, maybe the best in the world. He's expecting you. Maya took the folder. I won't let you down. You already haven't. Hayes stood, extended his hand. Good luck, Cross. Make us proud. They shook hands. For the first time, Hayes smiled. Small, genuine. Your father would have been proud too. Maya's throat tightened. You knew him? No, but Frank Morrison called me, told me about Robert Cross, Gulf War sniper, Silver Star, KIA 1991. Hayes's smile faded. Frank also told me about you, living in a barn, teaching yourself to shoot, surviving when you should have died. That's not luck, Cross. That's will. Thank you, drill sergeant. Maya left the office. Outside, the Georgia sun was setting, orange and gold. Beautiful. She thought about her father, Robert Cross, the man she'd never known. Would he be proud? Would he understand what she was becoming? She'd never know, but she'd try to honor him anyway. Sniper school began on a cold January morning in 2015. 38 candidates, all male, all experienced soldiers, combat veterans, infantry specialists, men who'd been shooting their entire lives. And Maya, 19 years old, fresh from basic training, the only woman. Colonel Aldrich Price stood before them, 60 years old, gray hair, scars on his hands from decades of trigger discipline. He looked like he'd been carved from granite in disappointment. This is the hardest military school in the United States, he began. His voice was quiet, commanding. 85% of you will fail, not because you're weak, because this isn't about strength. It's about patience, discipline, the ability to lie in filth for 16 hours, waiting for a 3-second window. He paced, slow, deliberate. Snipers don't win battles. We enable victories. We're invisible, silent, the last thing an enemy sees, or doesn't see. Price stopped. If you want glory, transfer to infantry. If you want medals, become a pilot. If you want to actually matter, stay here. His eyes found Maya, held for a moment. Some of you are wondering about the female candidate. Let me address that once. Cross-qualified, top of her basic training class. Perfect marksmanship score. She's here on merit. If you have a problem with that, leave now. No one moved. Good, because I don't give a damn what's between your legs. I care what's between your ears. Price gestured to the door. Gear up. First exercise starts in 30 minutes. Full ruck, 12 miles. Anyone who falls behind runs it again. The candidates dispersed. Maya grabbed her gear. 65 pounds, rifle, ammunition, rations, water, everything she'd need for a week in the field. A soldier approached her, mid-30s, name tape said, Reeves. You're the girl from the stories. I'm Cross. Yeah, heard about your basic training scores. Impressive. Reeves shifted his ruck. Word of advice, some of these guys aren't going to make it easy for you. They think you're a diversity hire. Political statement. I'm not. I know, but they don't. Reeves extended his hand. Watch your back. This course breaks people, physically and mentally, and some guys will try to help it along. Maya shook his hand. Thanks for the warning. Don't mention it. Just stay sharp. The 12-mile ruck march was brutal. Georgia winter. 38 degrees. Rain. The kind that soaks through everything and settles in your bones. Maya finished in 2 hours, 40 minutes. 11th place. Reeves was 5th. A soldier named Porter was 1st. 3 candidates didn't finish. They were gone by evening. Day 2 was classroom work, ballistics, wind calculation, range estimation. Maya absorbed everything. She'd learned most of it from Frank in Captain Kane's journal. But Price taught deeper, nuances, combat applications. A sniper's greatest weapon isn't the rifle, Price said. It's information. You're an intelligence asset. You watch. You report. Occasionally, you pull the trigger, but mostly, you wait. Day 7 was the first live-fire exercise. 800 yards, moving target, variable wind. Maya hit 7 out of 10. Good, not great. Porter hit 9 out of 10. Reeves hit 8. You're aiming where the target is, Price told Maya afterward. Not where it will be when the bullet arrives. 2-second flight time at 800 yards. The target moves 16 inches in 2 seconds. Lead more. Yes, sir. You've got the raw talent, best I've seen in years. But raw talent isn't enough. You need experience, combat intuition. That comes with time. How much time? Price smiled. Less than you think. You're learning fast. Week 3 was urban operations, shooting from buildings, through windows, over crowds. The margin for error was microscopic. Maya excelled. Her synesthesia helped. She could see wind patterns even in confined spaces, air currents through windows, thermal layers from heaters. Uncanny, Price muttered during one exercise. You see something the rest of us don't. Yes, sir, wind patterns, visual, like colored smoke. Price's eyebrows rose. Synesthesia? Yes, sir. That explains it. You're calculating variables intuitively that others have to measure. He paused. That's a significant advantage. Use it. Week 8 was survival training. 3 days in the field, minimal food, live ammo, actual targets, not practice, real reconnaissance mission. OPFOR units playing enemy combatants. Maya's squad was Reeves, Porter, and a soldier named Chen. 4 snipers, 12 OPFOR combatants hunting them. They were supposed to reach a designated point 3 miles away, report enemy positions, extract without being detected. It went wrong on day 2. Chen stepped on a wire. Dummy grenade, red smoke. In real combat, he'd be dead. Chen is KIA. Price's voice crackled over radio. Continue mission. They continued. 3 now. Slower. More careful. That night, Porter made a mistake. Fell asleep on watch. OPFOR unit crept within 50 meters before Reeves spotted them. Firefight. Blanks. But loud. Chaotic. When it ended, Porter was eliminated. Reeves had a simulated leg wound. Maya was unscathed. Cross, Reeves, Price's voice. Extract, Reeves is combat ineffective. Cross, your primary. Maya made the decision fast. Reeves couldn't walk, couldn't move quietly. She had 2 options. Leave him and complete the mission alone, or extract him and abort. She thought about Captain Kane's journal. The mission matters, but the man matters more. I'm extracting Reeves, Maya radioed. Negative, complete the objective. With respect, sir, I'm extracting Reeves. Silence. Long. Heavy. Proceed. Maya fashioned a drag harness, pulled Reeves 3 miles, through forest, across streams. 12 hours of exhausting, painful progress. They reached the extraction point at dawn, collapsed. Price was waiting. You failed the mission, he said. Objective was reconnaissance, not rescue. Maya stood, tired, filthy. Yes, sir. But you succeeded at something more important. You brought your man home. Price looked at Reeves. In combat, that matters more than any objective. Good call, Cross. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. Thank Reeves. He's going to tell this story for the next 20 years. Reeves grinned from the ground. Damn right I am. The final test came in week 24, June 2016. 6 months of training, 38 candidates had become 9. The final stalk, solo mission, 24 hours, infiltrate enemy position, establish hide, take one shot from unknown distance, extract undetected. Maya drew the hardest assignment, 2,200 meters, maximum range for the M110 rifle they were using. Through forest, over a ridge, into an observation post crawling with OP4 units. She inserted at midnight, moved like smoke, silent, invisible. By dawn, she'd traveled 3 miles, found her position, a depression under fallen logs, natural camouflage, perfect line of sight to the target. She waited, 16 hours, motionless, watching, learning patrol patterns, guard rotations, wind conditions. At 1,600 hours, the wind steadied, blue ribbons aligned. 3 seconds of perfection. Maya fired once, 2,200 meters, through leaves, over thermal haze, into a 6-inch target zone. The target fell. Red paint exploded across the dummy's chest. Kill confirmed, Price's voice. Extract. Maya broke down her position, erased every trace, moved. 6 hours later, she emerged at the extraction point. First candidate to arrive. Price was alone, waiting. 16 hours in that hide, he said. OP4 walked within 10 feet of you twice. Never spotted you. Yes, sir. The shot was perfect. Dead center. 2,200 meters with variable wind. Price stepped closer. In 30 years of running this program, I've seen 3 candidates make that shot. 2 of them are dead now. Combat. The third is a general. Maya said nothing. You're not just good, Cross, you're anomalous. Once-in-a-generation talent. Price handed her a folder. CIA Special Activities Division. They recruit from the best sniper schools. I've recommended you. Director Wells is expecting your call. CIA? Specialized Operations. SEAL Team Support. Delta. Black Operations. Things that don't officially exist. Price met her eyes. You'll do things that never make headlines. Save lives no one will know about. Become a ghost. Maya took the folder. When? 2 weeks. Training facility in Virginia. 18 months. Then deployment. Price extended his hand. Congratulations, Staff Sergeant Cross. You just became one of the deadliest people on Earth. They shook hands. Maya thought about the barn, the cold, the hunger, the 3 years of teaching herself what these soldiers had spent decades learning. She thought about her father, Robert Cross, who died protecting people. And she thought about Captain Kane, who'd chosen not to shoot and died for it. I'll make you proud, sir, she said. You already have. Maya left Fort Benning in July 2016, 20 years old, staff sergeant, graduate of the hardest school in the Army. The barn was a lifetime away. The girl who'd lived there was gone, replaced by someone harder, sharper, forged by cold and hunger and 3,000 practice shots. She was ready for whatever came next. Or so she thought. Virginia was colder than Georgia. The CIA facility was unmarked. No signs, no flags, just gray buildings and serious men with quiet voices. Director Catherine Wells met Maya in a conference room. 50 years old, steel gray hair, eyes that missed nothing. Staff Sergeant Cross, impressive file. Impressive enough that I'm wondering if it's real. It's real, ma'am. 20 years old. Homeless at 14. Perfect sniper school scores. Colonel Price says you're once-in-a-generation talent. Wells leaned forward. I don't believe in once-in-a-generation anything. I believe in hard work and lucky genetics. Which are you? Both. Wells smiled. Thin. Calculated. Good answer. You're here because SEAL Team 6 requested you specifically. They need long-range precision support, specialized missions, high-value targets, things that require someone who never misses. I miss sometimes. Not often enough to matter. Wells slid a file across the table. 18 months of training, urban operations, halo insertion, languages, cultural training, combat medicine, everything you need to operate independently behind enemy lines. Maya opened the file. Syllabus, schedule, expectations. After 18 months, Wells continued, you'll be assigned to SEAL Team 6, rotation basis. You'll deploy when they deploy, support when they need support, and occasionally you'll operate alone. Understood. One more thing. If you're captured, we disavow you. If you're killed, there's no medal, no ceremony, just a file that gets sealed for 50 years. Wells's eyes were hard. Still interested? Maya thought for exactly 3 seconds. Yes, ma'am. Then welcome to the shadows, Staff Sergeant. Let's make you disappear. The training was brutal. 18 months of learning how to be invisible, how to kill silently, how to survive in hostile territory with no backup and no hope of rescue. Maya absorbed it all. She learned Arabic, Pashto, Dari, enough to understand radio chatter, enough to blend in from a distance. She learned close quarters combat, knife fighting, hand-to-hand, things snipers weren't supposed to need, but Maya learned anyway. And she learned patience. The kind of patience that lets you lie in your own filth for 20 hours waiting for a 3-second shot. By December 2017, Maya Cross had disappeared. In her place was something else, something harder, a weapon without a conscience, or maybe a weapon with too much conscience, hard to tell. On her final day of training, Wells called her in. You've been assigned to SEAL Team 6, Lieutenant Commander Thorne Calloway, Chief Garrett Webb. Operator designation, Angel. Angel? From Vivian Kane. She called, said if you ever made it this far, that should be your call sign. Wells handed Maya a challenge coin. Silver. Eagle on one side, single word on the other. Angel. Don't lose it. It's the only proof you exist. Maya took the coin. Cold. Heavy. Real. First deployment is Syria, 3 weeks. Briefing tomorrow. Wells stood. Good luck, Angel. Don't die. I'll try not to. Everyone says that. Most of them are wrong. Maya left the office. Outside, the Virginia sky was gray. Cold. Winter coming. She thought about the barn, about Frank Morrison, about Vivian Kane and Captain James Kane's journal. She thought about her father, Robert Cross, Silver Star, KIA 1991. And she thought about the promise she'd made herself 3 years ago, freezing in an abandoned barn with nothing but a rifle and 23 rounds. I will survive. I will become something. I will matter. She'd kept that promise. Now came the hard part, proving it. Syria smelled like dust and diesel and death. Maya had been in country for 6 hours. Already she'd learned that war wasn't like the movies. It was waiting. Boredom punctuated by moments of pure terror that made you wish you'd stayed bored. The briefing room was cramped, hot. 12 SEAL operators packed into a space designed for 6. Lieutenant Commander Thorne Calloway stood at the front, 32 years old, hard eyes, the kind of man who'd seen things that couldn't be unseen. This is Staff Sergeant Maya Cross, call sign Angel. She'll be providing overwatch for the next 3 weeks. Calloway gestured to Maya. She stood. Every eye in the room was on her, evaluating, judging, finding her wanting. She's a kid, someone muttered. Operator named Hawk, early 30s, built like a tank. She's 23, Calloway said. Same age I was on my first deployment. You were a man. Silence, heavy, dangerous. Calloway's jaw tightened. One more word and you're on sanitation duty for a month. Clear? Hawk said nothing, just stared at Maya, contempt written across his face. Angel graduated top of her sniper class, Calloway continued. Perfect scores, recommended by Colonel Price personally. She's here on merit. Then let's test that merit. Chief Garrett Webb stood, 34 years old, scars on his hands, voice like gravel. Qualification range, 800 yards, variable wind. Right now, Calloway glanced at Maya. You good with that? Yes, sir. Then let's go. The range was outside the wire, exposed, dangerous, but the seals didn't seem to care. They lived in danger. It was their natural habitat. 800 yards. The target was a steel plate, 12 inches square. The wind was brutal, 30 miles per hour, gusting. The blue ribbons twisted like serpents. Webb handed Maya a rifle. M110, standard SEAL sniper weapon. She checked it quickly. Scope, trigger, balance. Good, not great, but workable. 5 shots, Webb said. Let's see what you've got. Maya dropped prone, studied the wind. The ribbons were chaotic. No pattern, no rhythm, just turbulence. She waited. 1 minute, 2. The seals shifted, impatient. Any day now, Hawk muttered. Then the wind steadied. 3 seconds of consistency. Maya fired 5 times, fast, controlled. Each shot placed before the wind changed again. The last echo faded. Silence. Webb raised binoculars, lowered them slowly. 5 for 5, 3-inch group. He turned to Maya. How did you shoot through that wind? I can see it. See what? The wind, visual patterns, like colors in the air. Webb exchanged glances with Calloway. That's not possible. It's synesthesia, Maya said. Neurological condition. My brain processes air currents as visual information. Hawk stepped forward, grabbed the binoculars, checked the target himself. His expression darkened. Lucky shots. Test me at 1500, Maya said. I'll do it again. Calloway smiled, thin, predatory. Set up the target. 1,500 yards, nearly a mile. The wind was worse at distance. The ribbons showed complex patterns, shifting, dangerous. Maya waited. 4 minutes this time, learning, reading. Then she fired 3 times. 3 hits, 6-inch group. Webb lowered the binoculars. Jesus Christ! Hawk said nothing, just walked away. Calloway approached Maya, extended his hand. Welcome to the team, Angel. Looks like Price was right about you. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. We deploy tomorrow. HVT extraction. You'll be 2 kilometers out. Overwatch. If things go wrong, you're our insurance policy. I won't let you down. Everyone says that. Calloway's smile faded. Most of them are wrong. The mission went wrong at hour 3. Maya was positioned on a rooftop, 1,600 meters from the target compound. Dawn light, temperature climbing. The heat made the air shimmer. Mirage. It complicated everything. Through her scope, she watched the SEAL team approach. 12 operators, moving like ghosts. Professional. Efficient. The compound was supposed to have 8 hostiles. Intel said 8. Intel was wrong. Contact! We've got contact from the east. Webb's voice. Urgent. Controlled. 20 hostiles. Repeat. 20 hostiles. Maya's scope swept the compound. She counted. 23. Not 20. I count 23 tangos. 4 on the roof. 6 in the courtyard. 13 inside. Copy. Can you suppress the roof? Affirming. Maya adjusted. 1,600 meters. 4 targets. Moving. The wind was 12 miles per hour. Northeast. Steady. She fired 4 times. Methodical. Each shot calculated. Each target eliminated. Roof clear. You're clear to advance. The SEALs moved. Fast. Brutal. Efficient. Maya watched through her scope, providing information, calling out threats, becoming their eyes. Tango at your 3 o'clock, 2nd floor window. Webb adjusted, fired. The hostile dropped. You've got two more flanking from the alley, 40 meters. Another SEAL engaged. Two hostiles eliminated. The firefight lasted 11 minutes. When it ended, 8 hostiles were dead. 3 captured. The HVT was secured. 0 friendly casualties. On the helicopter back to base, Webb sat next to Maya. You saved my life 3 times today. I was just doing my job. Most snipers provide cover. You provided intelligence. Real-time battlefield awareness. That's different. Webb extended his hand. I'm sorry I doubted you. You should be. Webb laughed, genuine. Fair enough, but I'm not doubting anymore. Across the helicopter, Hawk was silent, staring at nothing, his jaw tight. 3 days later, Maya deployed on her second mission. Afghanistan, blizzard conditions, -32 degrees, the kind of cold that made Syria seem tropical. The mission was simple. Overwatch for a convoy extraction. Taliban forces had surrounded a supply convoy. 12 vehicles, 40 soldiers, pinned down in a valley with no escape route. Maya inserted via helicopter. 2 miles from the convoy, high ground. She could see everything. And everything was bad. The Taliban had positioned fighters on both ridges. 50 men, maybe more. They had the convoy in a perfect kill box. Any movement would result in casualties. Angel, this is Callaway. We need you to clear a path. North Ridge. Estimate 12 hostiles. I count 14, but there's a problem. What problem? Visibility. The snow is too heavy. I can barely see 300 yards. Silence. Then Callaway's voice, resigned. Abort. We'll find another way. Maya looked through her scope. The blue ribbons were visible, even through the snow. Bright, clear, dancing patterns that showed wind direction, wind speed, wind shifts. The snow was just frozen water, and water followed wind. Negative on abort, Maya said. I can see the wind. The snow is showing me exactly where to aim. Angel, you can't shoot what you can't see. I don't need to see the target, sir. I can see the space between us. The snow shows me everything. Another pause, longer. You're certain? Yes, sir. Then proceed. But Angel, if you miss, people die. I won't miss. Maya studied the patterns. The snow moved like waves, like water flowing over rocks. Each drift showed wind direction. Each swirl showed an obstacle. And obstacles meant targets. She fired 14 times. Each shot placed where the snow showed a human-shaped disruption in the wind pattern. North Ridge clear, confirm. Callaway's voice was amazed. All 14 tangos down. How the hell did you do that? I told you, I can see the wind. The convoy extracted safely. 0 casualties. When Maya returned to base, Colonel Price was waiting. He'd flown in from Fort Benning, specifically to see her. 2,100 meters in a blizzard, he said, shooting at targets you couldn't actually see. That's not possible. It happened. I know it happened. I read the report. I'm trying to understand how. Price gestured to his office. Walk with me. Inside, Price poured 2 cups of coffee, handed one to Maya. Your synesthesia. It's not just wind patterns, is it? No, sir. I see temperature gradients, air density, thermal layers, anything that affects bullet trajectory. My brain converts it to visual information. That's unprecedented. I've trained snipers for 3 decades. Never seen anything like you. Price sat down. Director Wells wants you permanently attached to SEAL Team 6. Not rotation. Full time. They're calling it the Angel Protocol. What's that mean? It means the SEALs don't deploy on high-risk operations without you. Period. You're their insurance policy, their guardian angel. Price smiled. It's the highest compliment they can give. They trust you more than each other. Maya said nothing. She thought about Hawk's contempt, Webb's doubt, Callaway's skepticism. They didn't trust me 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, you hadn't saved their lives. Price leaned forward. You've done something remarkable, Cross. You've earned their respect. Not because you're a woman, because you're exceptional. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me. You did this. You survived that barn, taught yourself to shoot, made it through sniper school, and now you're the most requested asset in special operations. Price stood. But there's something else you need to know. What? Success has a cost. Physical, mental, emotional. I've seen it destroy people, even the best. His eyes were serious. Watch yourself, Cross. Don't let this job consume you. Maya thought about Captain Kane's journal, the last entry, the shot he didn't take. I'll be careful, sir. Everyone says that too. 6 months later, Maya deployed to Yemen. January 2020, 24 years old. She'd completed 37 missions, 0 friendly casualties, 89 confirmed kills. The numbers didn't bother her. They were just math, variables in an equation. She never thought about the people behind the numbers, until Yemen. The mission brief was standard: 3 American hostages, mountain compound. SEAL Team 6 would handle extraction. Maya would provide overwatch from a ridge 2,800 meters away, nearly 2 miles, the longest operational shot she'd ever attempted. Director Wells briefed her personally. This is maximum range for the M110, maybe beyond maximum. If things go wrong, you might not be able to help. I can make the shot. From 2,800 meters? In mountain winds? Angel, even you have limits. Not today. Wells studied her. You're confident. I'm certain. The insertion went perfectly. Maya established her hide at dawn, spent 6 hours studying the wind patterns, learning the terrain, calculating variables. At 1,300 hours, the SEALs inserted. Fast rope from helicopters, aggressive, loud. The element of surprise would last maybe 30 seconds. 20 seconds in, everything went wrong. Contact! We've got contact from the northeast. 50 hostiles. This is an ambush. Maya's scope swept the compound. Hostiles pouring out of buildings. AK-47s, RPGs, a technical with a mounted machine gun. I'm engaging. She fired 11 times. 11 hostiles dropped, but more kept coming. Webb is hit. Webb is hit. Femoral artery. He's bleeding out. Maya's scope found Webb, on the ground, crawling, blood trail behind him, bright red against snow, and she saw the hostile sniper, rooftop, 600 meters from Webb, aiming, calculating. Maya's angle was bad, 2,847 meters. Webb was directly in her line of fire, 18 inches below her bullet trajectory. The margin for error was smaller than a human skull. Angel, we need you, now! 4 SEAL operators had stopped moving, frozen, waiting, not for Calloway's orders, for Maya's confirmation. They wouldn't advance without her say-so. That's when Maya understood. They'd given her their lives, complete trust, absolute faith. And now she had to earn it. The wind was 62 kilometers per hour, southwest, shifting every 3 seconds. The blue ribbons showed chaos, no pattern, no rhythm. She waited. 10 seconds, 15, learning the chaos, finding the pattern inside it. Angel, do you have the shot? Webb was still crawling. The hostile sniper was tracking him, finger on trigger. Maya calculated. Bullet drop, wind drift, Webb's movement, the hostile's movement, temperature, air density, Coriolis effect at this distance, and the 18 inches, the space between saving a life and ending one. Every variable had to be perfect. She thought about Captain Kane, the shot he didn't take, the choice that killed him. She thought about her father, Robert Cross, who died protecting people. She thought about Frank Morrison. Every bullet means something. This bullet meant everything. I have it, Maya exhaled. Halfway, held it, 42 heartbeats per minute. The wind steadied. 3 seconds of consistency. She fired. 4.7 seconds, the longest seconds of her life. Through the scope, she watched the bullet arc. Invisible, but she saw it in her mind. The trajectory, the path, the mathematics of life and death. The hostile sniper's head snapped back. He fell. Webb looked up, toward Maya, 2 miles away. He couldn't see her, but he knew. Angel, that bullet, it passed right over my head. I know, now move. The extraction was successful. 3 hostages recovered. Webb stabilized. 0 friendly KIA. But Maya collapsed 3 hours later. She woke up in medical, IV in her arm, doctors standing over her. Severe dehydration, rhabdomyolysis, kidney function at 38%, grade 2 frostbite on 8 fingers. The doctor shook his head. You were maybe 6 hours from organ failure, maybe less. But I made the shot. You almost died making it. But I made it. The doctor left, muttering something about insanity and snipers. Webb visited that night, leg heavily bandaged, crutches. You saved my life, he said. 18 inches. That's how close your bullet passed. I know. How did you know you wouldn't hit me? Maya thought about the question. Honest answer. I didn't. Not completely. I calculated the probability at 97.3%, but there was a 2.7% chance I'd kill you instead. Webb sat down. Slow, careful. And you took the shot anyway? If I didn't shoot, you died. Certainty. If I shot, you had a 97% chance of living. The math was obvious. That's not math, that's faith. Webb leaned forward. You had faith in yourself, in your training, in something, and it saved my life. It was just a shot. It was the defining shot of your career, maybe the defining shot of this decade. Webb stood. Thank you, Angel, for having faith when I had none. He left. Maya stared at the ceiling. Her body ached. Her kidneys hurt. Her fingers were numb. But Webb was alive. The math worked. 3 weeks later, Maya was back at base. Medical cleared her for duty. Barely. She'd lost 11 pounds, down to 121. Too thin, too weak. But she insisted. Training range, routine qualification, 1,000 yards. Should have been easy. She missed. Not by much. 6 inches left. But she missed. Maya stared at the target. Confusion, then concern, then fear. She fired again. Missed. 8 inches right. Third shot. Missed. 4 inches high. Her hand was trembling. Slight, but visible. Cross, you're done for today. Calloway's voice. He'd been watching. Medical tent. Now. The psychologist was young, maybe 30. Kind eyes. Post-traumatic stress, she said. Classic symptoms. The Yemen shot. The weight of Webb's life. Your body shut down afterward. Now your mind is processing what happened. I don't have PTSD. Everyone says that. Then they miss shots they've made 1,000 times. The psychologist leaned forward. You're not broken. You're human. Humans break under impossible pressure. Then they heal. How long? 6 weeks mandatory rest, therapy twice weekly, then we reassess. I can't afford 6 weeks. You can't afford not to. If you deploy like this, you'll get someone killed, maybe yourself. The psychologist handed Maya a card. Go home, rest, process, heal. Maya took the card. Her hand was still trembling. She called Frank Morrison that night. I need to come home, she said. Then come home. I'll be waiting. Montana hadn't changed. Still cold, still beautiful. Still the place where Maya had learned to survive. Frank was older, 66 now, gray hair, slower movements. But his eyes were still sharp. You look like hell, he said. I feel like hell. They sat on his porch. Coffee, silence, comfortable. Tell me about Yemen, Frank finally said. Maya told him. Everything. The shot, the 18 inches. Webb's life hanging in the space between intention and impact. And now I can't shoot straight, she finished. First miss in 6 years, then 3 more. My hand shakes. Frank nodded, slow, understanding. Your body is protecting you. It's saying, no more, rest, heal. I don't have time to heal. You don't have time not to. Frank set down his coffee. I have something for you. Been carrying it for 12 years, waiting for the right moment. He disappeared inside. To you, when you needed it most. Maya's to you when you needed it most. Maya's hands trembled as she opened it. The letter was short, 2 pages. Cassandra's handwriting, weak, shaky. Cancer had taken her strength but not her clarity. My dearest Maya, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And Frank has judged that you need to hear something important. The truth. I married Silas Stone knowing he was dangerous. I was dying. I had months, maybe a year, and I was terrified. Not of death, of leaving you alone. Silas promised to take care of you. He lied, and I was too sick to see it, too desperate to question it. Before I died, I asked Frank to watch over you, to find you if Silas hurt you, to protect you the way your father would have. Frank Morrison was your father's best friend. They served together. Gulf War. Robert saved Frank's life. Then an Iraqi sniper killed Robert, 3 months before you were born. Frank promised Robert, if anything happens, I'll protect your family. He kept that promise, even when it took him years to find you. Maya, my beautiful girl, I'm sorry I wasn't stronger. Sorry I chose poorly. Sorry I left you with a monster. But know this, you survived. Not because of me, not because of Silas, because of you, because you're Robert's daughter. And Robert was the strongest man I ever knew. Survive, my love. But don't just survive. Live. Find joy. Find peace. Find the things worth protecting. And when you're tired, when the weight is too much, remember, the hardest battles are the ones we fight inside ourselves. Love always, Mom. Maya read it 3 times, then folded it carefully, placed it in her pocket next to Vivian Kane's coin and her father's photo. She tried to find me, Maya said quietly. She tried. Silas stopped her, drugged her, isolated her. By the time I found out, she was gone. Frank's voice was thick. I'm sorry I was too late. You weren't too late. You found me. You trained me. You gave me a purpose. Maya looked at him. Thank you, Uncle Frank. Frank's eyes welled. Uncle Frank, I like that. They sat in silence, watching the Montana sunset, orange and gold and beautiful. I forgive her, Maya finally said, and I forgive myself for being angry. That's healing, Frank said. Real healing. 6 weeks later, Maya returned to duty, cleared by medical, cleared by psych, cleared by her own conscience. But she was different, softer, more careful, more aware of the weight each bullet carried. Director Wells gave her a new assignment, Moldova, human trafficking ring, 23 children, ages 7 to 15. This is personal, Wells said. These children are being sold, bought, traded like property. I want them saved. I'm in. The mission was straightforward. SEAL Team 6 would breach the compound. Maya would provide overwatch. 450 meters, close range for her. Everything went perfectly. The SEALs secured the children. 23 small faces, terrified, traumatized, but alive. Then Maya saw him through her scope. Major Silas Crane, former Army, dishonorably discharged, now running the trafficking operation. Not the same Silas who'd thrown her out. Different man, different monster, but the name made her pause. Crane was escaping. SUV, heading for the border. If he escaped, the network survived. More children would suffer. Maya had the shot. Clean, easy, 400 meters, calm wind. Her finger touched the trigger. Then she saw the girl. 8 years old, Crane's daughter. Intel said he'd kidnapped her from his ex-wife, used his own daughter as leverage in the operation. The girl was watching, eyes on her father. Maya's crosshairs settled on Crane's head. One shot, justice, vengeance, protection. But the girl would see, would watch her father die, would carry that trauma forever. Maya thought about Captain Kane, the shot he didn't take. She thought about her mother's letter. Find the things worth protecting. She lowered her rifle. Angel, do you have the shot? Calloway asked. Negative, too much risk of collateral trauma. He's escaping. I know, let him go. Silence. Then Calloway's voice, confused. Confirm you're letting him escape? Confirmed. His daughter is watching. She doesn't need to see him die. We'll catch him another way. Crane escaped. The FBI caught him 3 weeks later. He'd spend life in prison. But his daughter was spared the image of her father's head exploding. Maya had made the hardest choice, not to shoot, to let justice take its course. Webb found her afterward. You could have ended him. I could have, but his daughter deserved better. That was mercy. No, that was wisdom. Captain Kane taught me that. Maya handed Webb the journal. Vivian Kane had given it to her 5 years ago. Read the last entry. Webb read. His expression changed, softer, understanding. He died because he didn't shoot. He died because he chose the child over the mission. I made the same choice. Maya took back the journal. Some shots aren't worth taking, even if you can make them. 3 months later, Frank Morrison called. His voice was weak, tired. Maya, I need you to come home. It's time. She knew what he meant. She'd been expecting the call for months. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, 6 months to live. That had been the diagnosis in December. Now it was March. He'd lasted 3 months. Maya took emergency leave, flew to Montana, arrived at sunset. Frank was in a wheelchair, thin, gray, but his eyes were still sharp. You look better, he said. Healed. I am. Good, because I have one last lesson for you. They went to the range, Frank in his wheelchair, Maya walking beside him. 3,218 meters, Frank said. The theoretical maximum for the ShyTac .408. I dreamed of making this shot for 40 years, never did. A target sat in the distance, old windmill, barely visible. I want you to make it for me, Frank said. One last shot, my legacy through your hands. Maya set up, studied the distance. The wind was 45 miles per hour. Variable, snow squalls, the worst conditions imaginable. But the blue ribbons showed her everything. The path, the variables, the math. She calculated for 10 minutes, then fired once. The bullet traveled for 6.1 seconds. The windmill shuddered. Metal rang. Clear, pure, direct hit. Frank cried, openly, unashamed. You did it, the impossible shot, the one I never made. We did it, Maya said. Everything I am, you built. No, everything you are, you built. I just gave you tools. Frank took her hand. His grip was weak. I'm proud of you, Maya. Your father would be proud too. Thank you, Uncle Frank, for everything. He died 3 weeks later, peaceful, surrounded by friends, veterans from 3 wars. The funeral was military, full honors, 60 people attended. SEAL Team 6 showed up in dress blues, unprecedented for a retired Army sniper. Calloway gave the eulogy. Frank Morrison taught Maya Cross not just to shoot, but why to shoot. He taught her to be a warrior with a conscience, a weapon with a purpose. And because of that, she's saved more lives than we can count. Calloway looked at Maya. Frank's legacy isn't the shots he made, it's the person he shaped. Maya didn't speak, just placed her SEAL Team 6 coin on Frank's casket, next to the silver star he'd earned 40 years ago. Vivian Kane attended, 75 now, still sharp. He loved you like a daughter, she said. I loved him like a father. He left you something, in his will. The range, all 40 acres. It's yours now. Maya stared at her. He left me the range? Said you'd know what to do with it. Train the next generation. Pass on what he taught you. Vivian smiled. That's legacy, dear. Not the shots you make, the people you shape. 2 months later, Maya discovered she was pregnant. 6 weeks. Father, Garrett Webb. They'd been together briefly after Yemen. Nothing serious. Until now. Maya sat in her apartment, staring at the pregnancy test. Positive. Undeniable. She called Webb. I'm pregnant, she said. No preamble. Silence. Long. Heavy. I'll support whatever you decide, Webb finally said. I'm keeping it. Then I'm with you, all the way, if you want me. I want you. More silence. Different kind. Hopeful. I love you, Maya. Have for a year. Didn't know how to say it. I love you too. Maya's voice cracked. But I'm done with combat. I can't bring a child into this life. Not active duty. Then we both retire. Open a training facility. Morrison's Range. We'll teach the next generation. You'd do that? For you? For our family? Yes, Maya cried. First time in years. Not from pain, from relief, from joy. Okay, she said. Let's do it. 6 months later, Director Wells called one last time. Elementary school, Richmond, Virginia. Hostage situation. 45 children. Bomber with dead man switch. We need a headshot. One shot. Switch can't activate. I'm retired. I know, I'm not ordering. I'm asking. Those children need you. Maya looked at her daughter, Vivian, 3 months old, sleeping in her crib, tiny, perfect, innocent. She thought about the 23 children in Moldova, the 45 in Yemen, the countless lives she'd saved over 7 years. One shot, Maya said, then I'm done forever. The setup was 1,200 meters, not her longest shot, but difficult. Urban environment, thermals, mirage. Maya set up on a rooftop. She'd brought Vivian's teddy bear, used it as a rifle rest, soft, gentle, a reminder of what she was protecting. The bomber was visible through a window, dead man's switch in hand. If his heart stopped, the switch activated. 45 children died. Maya needed a central nervous system hit, brainstem, instant death, no muscle twitch, no reflex. She studied the target for 20 minutes, learning, watching, waiting for the perfect moment. Then the bomber turned. Profile shot, 3-inch target zone, 2-second window. Maya fired once. The bomber dropped. Instant, clean. The switch didn't activate. 45 children ran out of the building, alive, safe, whole. Maya packed her rifle, called Calloway. That's my last bullet, sir, ever. I'm done. Thank you, Angel. The world won't know, but we do. Calloway paused. What will you do now? Live, raise my daughter, teach at Morrison's Range, pass on what Frank taught me. That's a good life. It's my life, finally. Maya drove home. Webb was waiting, Vivian in his arms. How did it go? 45 children are alive, and I'm home, for good. Webb kissed her, soft, loving. Welcome home. That night, Maya received a letter, international postage, Moldova. She opened it, a drawing, crayon on construction paper, angel with rifle, children safe below, smiling faces. The note was in careful English. Dear Angel Lady, my name is Anna. I am 12 now. I am in middle school. I want to be a doctor. Thank you for saving me. I will never forget you. You are my hero. Love, Anna. Maya read the letter to baby Vivian. Once upon a time, there was a girl with nothing. She learned to survive. Then she learned to fight. Then she learned to protect. And finally, she learned the most important lesson of all. What lesson, Mama? Vivian was too young to talk, but Maya imagined the question anyway. The hardest shot is the one you don't take, and the bravest choice is knowing when to stop fighting. Maya folded the letter, placed it with her mother's letter, Captain Kane's journal, and Frank's silver star. 4 pieces of a life, 4 lessons: survive, fight, protect, and finally, live. She'd learned them all, the hard way, through cold and hunger and war. Now came the hardest part, teaching them to the next generation. Maya Cross, Angel, the most requested sniper in American Special Operations history. 38 confirmed missions, 0 friendly casualties, 147 confirmed kills. Retired at age 25 to raise her daughter and train the next generation of warriors. The barn was a lifetime away. The girl who'd lived there was gone, replaced by someone who'd learned that strength isn't just about surviving. It's about knowing when to fight and when to stop fighting, when to pull the trigger and when to walk away. Maya looked at her sleeping daughter. Perfect, innocent, safe. I'll teach you everything, little one. How to survive, how to fight, how to protect. She kissed Vivian's forehead. But most importantly, I'll teach you when not to pull the trigger. Outside, the Montana sky was clear, stars bright, beautiful. Somewhere out there, Robert Cross and Frank Morrison and Captain James Kane were watching. Proud, because Maya Cross had done the impossible. She'd survived being thrown away, become the deadliest sniper of her generation, saved countless lives. And then, hardest of all, she'd chosen to stop, to live, to build something instead of destroy. That was the real victory, not the shots she made, the life she chose, the legacy she'd leave. And it all started with a 14-year-old girl in a frozen barn, refusing to die, teaching herself to shoot with 23 bullets and an unbreakable will. She'd been forsaken, cast out, left for dead, but she'd survived, thrived, transcended, and now, finally, she was home.